Hey everyone, Viktor here. So to jump right into it, I recently had this idea to do a video series where I stumbled my way through the character generation for various games, from fairly mainstream ones to even more obscure games. So today I'm doing what will hopefully be the first in the series where I will up a Castles and Crusades character. So let's get started, shall we? So I'm using the player's handbook, obviously. This is the 7th printing, which I believe was the free one that they occasionally put up. I got it a couple months ago. Well, let's get to the character generation part, really. There we go, character generation. Let me zoom in a bit. Creating the character. With the exception of the Castle Keeper, each person playing Castles and Crusades creates a character to use during the game. To create this character, the player begins by simply imagining the type of character he or she desires to play. Be it a wandering barbarian, reclusive wizard, traveling dwarf, noble elf, a dastardly villain, or virtuous knight. The player begins by generating attribute scores with dice rolls. Attribute scores define the character's physical and mental traits. Next, the player chooses a character or profession for the character that best fits how the character is imagined. In the same manner, the character chooses a race which best fits both the persona and class desired. Lastly, the player fills in the details. Examples include technical game-related aspects of the character, such as combat bonuses, as well as the character's persona and history. These steps are outlined below and detailed in their appropriate sections. Okay, that's fairly straightforward. That's just the usual D&D-like character generation. Imagine a character. Decide in a general manner the type of character desired. Is the character a noble dwarf fighter, a haggard half-orc barbarian, or a disdainful elf knight? Literature, film, theater, and comic books are rife with examples of heroes and villains that players can draw upon for inspiration for their characters. Yet, as the creator of your own character, you can build upon these examples to create complex villainous montages or even more profoundly heroic and noble characters. Stretch your imagination. Oh, that's pretty easy for me. Anyway, create the character as you imagine him or her to be. In the end, imagination is the only limit when creating a persona. Okay, also straightforward. Roll attributes. Each character has 6 attributes generated by rolling dice. The attributes are strength, dexterity, constitution, intelligence, wisdom, and charisma. Each attribute has an impact on the game and can significantly influence class selection. After rolling the dice to generate these scores, you can choose how the scores are placed. Naturally, it is important to place the scores in a manner that reflects your character concept, desired class, and desired race. Okay, so I kind of like that they let you from the outset let you decide where you want to place your scores yourselves. I know probably a lot of grognards are going to be looking at this and they like, rolling in order, but I was never a fan of that. I want to play the characters that I want to play. Sorry. Anyway, choose a class. A class is a basic concept upon which the character is modeled. This is one of the more difficult aspects of character creation because each class represents an archetype found in literature, film, or within role-playing games themselves. Each class should be very broadly interpreted. It is possible to have wildly diverse characters that are members of the same class, as it should be, yes. Classes should be considered examples of archetypes that provide a broad representation for the type of character desired. This is necessary in order to accommodate the needs of the player and the setting where the character's adventures occur. Each of the 13 classes has unique abilities and specialized areas of knowledge. Okay, cool. See, well, these are the list of classes. The Assassin is an expert in killing and eliminating targeted enemies. The Barbarian draws upon vestigial primal will in combat. The Bard influences others through the power of words. The Cleric is a vow to a deity and dispenses divine justice. The Druid owes allegiance to the elemental powers of the world. The Fighter is a warrior with great prowess on the battlefield. The Illusionist magically distorts the perception of others. The Knight is a natural leader and strong combatant. The Monk conditions his body to withstand the rigors of war and the elements. The Paladin is a warrior blessed by divinity, a paragon of good. The Ranger is an extraordinary woodsman and warrior. The Rogue is a rapscallion and an opportunist. The Wizard is a practitioner of powerful arcane magics. Okay, so pretty much all the standard D&D-like classes, which, that's cool. Choose a race. Select a race that best fits your imagined character concept. In Castles and Crusades, one can choose the versatile human, a long-lived elf, a willful dwarf, a curious gnome, a quick-footed halfling, a forlorn half-elf, or a pugnacious half-orc. Each race is unique and has its own special abilities, capacities, culture, and personality. Closely examine each race prior to making a selection. In particular, ensure that the race selected does not have cultural or personality characteristics that conflict harshly with the persona of the character you wish to create. Yeah, that makes sense too. Or I would even go so far, like, make sure that they at least somewhat fit with, what the rest of the players are making. Everyone hates when, the whole party is like goody two shoes and then there's the one evil character messing everything up. Or even the opposite. Everyone's like bad or even more, or at least morally gray, and then there's like the one paladin who like constantly wants to be noble. Anyway, fleshing out the character. The most important step in character generation comes last, detailing the character's persona. The player fleshes out the details of the character's personality, physical description, worldview, background, goals, and motivations, including the moral alignment best suited to the character's personality. Then the character's starting money is determined and the player equips the character with clothing, armor, weapons, and other adventuring gear. The player also determines the character's hit points, that measure of a character's ability to survive damage. That was kind of a weird way to lead into that sentence. But whatever, I get it. Attributes. Attributes represent this character's physical and mental traits. All characters in Castles and Crusades have 6 attributes: strength, dexterity, constitution, intelligence, wisdom, and charisma. Okay, so yeah, the normal D&D like stats. Cool. Each attribute has a numeric score ranging from 3 to 18. Each attribute score also has a corresponding modifier, which is a bonus or penalty added to or subtracted from certain die rolls during the game as detailed throughout the rules. There are 2 types of attributes, primary and secondary. Of the 6 attributes each character has, the player selects a few to be primary attributes. The remaining attributes are secondary. Okay? The distinction is important when determining the outcome of many actions in Castles and Crusades. When a character uses a class ability, such as a rogue attempting to pick a fat giant's pocket, or a ranger tracking a brigand through a dark forest, an attribute check is rolled to determine if the action is successful. Also, why does the giant have to be fat? But, whatever. I guess they can be. Each class ability has an attribute check associated with it. If the class ability's associated attribute is one of the character's primary attributes, the character has a greater chance of successfully performing the task. The same principle holds true for the other aspects of the game in which an attribute check is required. Attribute checks are explained in greater detail later. See the Castle Keeper and the game. Attributes in the game, okay? For now, just remember that the selection of primary and secondary attributes significantly affect the possibility of success for many actions in the game. Attribute checks associated with a primary attribute are significantly more likely to succeed than those actions performed with a secondary attribute. That makes sense, yeah? This is like explaining how everything works, which I'm not going to read because everyone knows how strength and wisdom and all that stuff works by now, I assume. This is what I want. Generating attribute scores. Attribute scores are generated by rolling 3d6. The player adds the results of the 3 dice together to create a total score that ranges between 3 and 18. This process is repeated 6 times. Once the 6 scores are generated, each score is assigned to one attribute in any order the player chooses. Again, I like that. Some might not, but, well, I'm rolling the character, so whatever. When assigning attribute scores, the player should consider the race and class of the character being created. A character's race may raise or lower an attribute score, and certain attribute scores may affect a character's class ability. Normally, attribute scores only increase or decrease during the course of a game as a result of magic, poison, cures, curses, or other extraordinary events. Should an attribute score change during gameplay, the modifier changes to correspond to the new score, if applicable. It is possible for an attribute score to fall below 3 or exceed 18 during gameplay. However, attribute scores for characters that fall outside of this range are rare and are usually associated with monsters, powerful magical items, or other entities controlled by the Castle Keeper. Okay. Each attribute score has corresponding modifier that can alter die rolls in the game. The modifier is a number added to or subtracted from a roll of the dice when a character uses an attribute to take an action, makes a saving throw, or uses a class ability. For example, a character attempting to bend the bars of a prison cell would have his or her strength modifier applied to the roll. The amount of damage delivered to a foe is likewise affected by the attribute modifier. A positive modifier is called a bonus, and a negative modifier a penalty. Higher attribute scores have higher bonuses, and lower attribute scores have larger penalties. So, whether fighting a nasty troll, a hungry wyvern, whatever, or avoiding the gaze of a gorgon, attribute modifiers play a decidedly important role in the game. Let's see. Primary and secondary attributes. There are two types of attributes, primary and secondary. Primary attributes are those physical or mental abilities in which a character is particularly well trained or very experienced in using. Secondary attributes are those the character uses with only average skill. A player selects the character's primary attributes after choosing a class and race. Human characters have three primary attributes. Demi-human races, dwarf, elf, gnome, half-elf, halfling, and half-orc, have only two primary attributes. Each class has one primary attribute associated with it that cannot be changed. Okay, that makes sense. The player selects the others. So a human character receives one primary attribute designated by the class, and the other two are selected by the player. If playing a demi-human character, the player can select only one additional primary attribute. For example, the primary attribute for the ranger class is strength. If the player chooses to play an elf, he or she selects one of the 5 remaining attributes as the other primary attribute. If it were a human ranger, the player would select 2 more primary attributes rather than just one. The remaining attributes are considered to be secondary. Okay. This is a lot to read. Can I just get to where I can roll up my stuff? I guess I'll just keep reading. As mentioned before, the distinction between primary and secondary attributes is important. Almost non-combat actions in Castles and Crusades for which the Castle Keeper deems a roll is necessary to determine success or failure are resolved by an attribute check. Every check has an associated attribute. Whenever one of these checks is made, a d20 is rolled by the player. Attribute and level modifiers for class abilities only are added to this roll if applicable. If the result is equal to or greater than a number generated by the Castle Keeper called the challenge class, then the attribute check is successful. Easy peasy, yeah, makes sense. The challenge class is a number generated by the Castle Keeper that represents the degree of difficulty for performing that action. The challenge class is generated in 2 steps. The first is asserting the challenge base. This is determined by whether or not the associated attribute is a primary or secondary one. If the associated attribute is a primary attribute, the challenge base is 12, and if it is a second attribute, the challenge base is 18. Okay, cool. That's an interesting way to do it. Next, the Castle Keeper adds or subtracts the challenge level to the challenge class. The challenge level represents the degree of difficulty the Castle Keeper believes is appropriate for the action being taken. This usually ranges between 0 and 10, but can go higher. The sum total is the challenge class, and the player must roll higher than that to successfully perform the action. For example, a 3rd level ranger with a 15 wisdom as a primary attribute attempts to track a pair of wily kobolds through a mountain pass. The player rolls a d20 and adds the ranger's level, +3, attribute modifier, +1, and racial bonus, none, to the roll. If the number generated is equal to or higher than the challenge class determined by the Castle Keeper, then the attempt is successful, and the ranger is able to track the kobolds to their secret lair. The challenge class is the combination of the challenge base, 12, and the challenge level, Assume a tree, as the trail is a few days old, for a total of 15. The player rolls a 13 and adds 4 for a total of 17. This is greater than the 15 necessary, so the ranger successfully tracks the kobolds to their dark and foreboding lair atop a craggy hill. Cool. Yeah, I actually like that way of doing the challenge ratings. A more thorough discussion of the rules and use of checks, called the Siege Engine, is located in the Castle Keeper section of the rules, which I also have, but that's beyond the scope for now. For now, it is just important to understand that checks involving the use of a primary attribute are far more likely to be successful than checks involving secondary attributes. So this is the attribute modifiers. Pretty straightforward. Okay, now we get to classes, which well, we all get what that means. I'm sure we all know what an assassin, what a barbarian, all that stuff is. I'll probably just do the in-depth reading of the actual class that I decide to play. Before choosing a class, consult with the Castle Keeper. Just basically make sure that the setting and theme fits your class. That makes sense too. Let's see, this explains hit dice, primary attribute, alignment, weapons, armor, abilities, level, bonus to hit, BTH. This is the modifier that's added to a hit roll when I'm making a melee or missile attack. Okay, makes sense. Experience point progression, EPP. This is a table that lists the amount of experience points needed to gain each level. For example, a 4th level fighter needs 17,001 experience points to reach 5th level. Makes sense. Oh, I had to crack my neck there real quick. Anyway, let's see. This is all the weapons and armor that each class can use. So an assassin can use leather armor, leather coats, padded, and C class, plus small and pavis shields, and then leather coif helms. Okay. Fighter can use everything, which also makes sense. Illusionist doesn't get to wear armor. Wizard doesn't get to wear armor. Poor wizard. Okay, so I guess it's mostly just time to start rolling up my character. So let me go to Curse of the Lowlands real quick, which is my Roll20 Castles and Crusades server. These are like already 2 characters that friends made. So I'm gonna make a character. See, it gives you just a random name to start with, which is fine. I'll figure out the name. Actually, I'm gonna figure out the name now. I think I'm gonna make a Half-Orc Assassin. That sounds fun. So let's go to fantasy name generators. See. Let me see. I'm gonna do orc name generator. Orc names, Dungeons and Dragons, that works. Male names. Drak Core Killer. Druzak Sorrow Slicer. I like that. I'm gonna go with Druzak Sorrow Slicer. That sounds pretty dope. So his name is gonna be Druzak Sorrow Slicer. It's gonna be level 1. It's gonna be an assassin. It's gonna be a half-orc. Let me see. I might have to zoom in a little bit here. Alignment. I don't know. I like the assassins to usually be a bit more morally gray. They're just professionals. It's just a job for them. So I'm gonna go with chaotic neutral. Hair. He's gonna be bald. Eyes yellow. Age. Well, he's level 1, so he's probably not that old. Let's say he's 20. I have no idea what if Castles and Crusades has like an age range for half orcs. I'll have to see once I actually look at the race. Height, he's gonna be 6'3", so the same height as me pretty much. Weight, let's say he's a lean 200. Deity, I have no idea. Languages, common for now. Okay, well, let's click this away for now, and I'm going to roll up the stats. So roll 3d6. Okay, a 6. Okay, that's awful. 12, that's better. 12, not bad. 13, 4, I think. 13, and a 14. Aside from that 6, I'm actually pretty happy with it. So that 6, I think that will be my dump stat, if you guys don't mind. So yeah, I've got my statistics. Now let's see. Choose a class. Okay, that's going to be my first thing then. So class. Assassin, there we go. Assassin, dexterity. Assassins can be either heroes to the downtrodden or knaves reviled by the elite. They stalk on weary victims through grim city streets or guild palaces, striking them down. They can lay in hiding for days, weeks, months, or even years, awaiting the perfect opportunity to slay their targets. The assassins serve both the weak and the strong, the good and the evil. They are killers who walk the shadows as the poor man's justice or the wealthy man's retribution. I actually like how the image for the assassin is already an orc, so that kind of makes sense. Like mercenaries, assassins seldom have motives of their own beyond collecting a reward. Although they are not necessarily evil, they are typically indifferent to the world around them. So pretty much what I said. I like my assassins to be morally grey. They view life and death as the natural course of things and think little on the matter, if at all. Though not all assassins kill without regret, they do kill for a reason. Whether for pay, duty, revenge, or mere pleasure, assassins carry out missions that others find impossible and immoral. Cool. Quick reflexes and swift movement are essential to the assassin's trait. They must be able to move with speed and grace when going for the kill, to avoid being detected and giving the victim a chance to react. The best of assassins are highly intelligent and focused individuals, capable of undergoing extreme duress and great stress to perform their missions. Whether working in disguise or slinking down alleys, it is patience, intelligence, and speed that are the assassin's stock and trait. Whether these actions are for the greater good or altogether evil, assassins kill without hesitation and with little or no regard for the consequences of their actions. Badass. Assassins are usually blind to the moral and ethical quandaries their profession engenders in the mind of others, more thoughtful people. In the mind of other more thoughtful people. There we go. I cannot read, but I'm doing my best here. So, the assassin's weapons of choice are many and varied. Many are chosen for a particular job or victim, while others reflect their own skills or profession. Of particular note is an assassin's reliance on poisons to accomplish the tasks set before them. There's no hesitation to use this most abhorrent of weapons. Whatever the case, assassins are well trained in all weaponry. However, the most important and valuable weapons in the assassin's arsenal are guile, deceit, patience, willpower, swift action, and cunning movements. With these, the assassin becomes the most lethal killer in all the world and the most feared and dreaded of foes. Awesome. Abilities. Special. Assassins must be prepared to wait in hidden places for long hours and move swiftly and quietly when attacking. Heavy armor that is uncomfortable, noisy, or bulky precludes optimum performance. An assassin may wear leather armor, a leather coat, or padded armor, and can employ small shields without any penalty to the use of the character's abilities. They may also wear leather helmets. An assassin may wear any other type of armor, but the character may suffer a penalty when using class abilities and wearing these armors as noted in the ability. When using class abilities and wearing these armors as noted in the ability description. The penalty is equal to -1 for each point above armor class 12 to those armors confer. Restricted helmets and shields cause the assassin to suffer a -1 penalty to all abilities. All penalties are cumulative. Okay, that makes sense. You don't want to be like wearing like heavy plate while you're trying to like sneak across the rooftops and climb through a window to stab a guy in the sleep. Case target, wisdom. Using this ability, the assassin can determine information and weakness about a potential opponent or target through detailed observation and deductive reasoning. An assassin must spend 1d3 times 10 minutes observing an opponent before a check is allowed. A successful check results in knowledge of the approximate level or HD of the opponent within 10%. Results in knowledge of their HD, alignment, hidden weapons or unusual items, distinguishing habits and mannerisms, and any other details that might not be apparent to normal observation. The CK, which I assume means Castle Keeper, must decide what the assassin can learn about the target and deems appropriate to convey. This check can be adjusted by the level or hit dice of the observed creature. Cool. This ability is unaffected by wearing armor not on the assassin armor list, but is affected by helmets. Also makes sense. It's hard to study somebody when you're like peering through like a slit of like, a big knight's plate helm. Climb, dexterity. This extraordinary ability allows an assassin to climb up, down, or across a slope. A slope, wall, steep incline, even a ceiling with handholds, or unusually angled natural or man-made slope or incline that others would find impossible to climb. So kind of like the thief class of old. That's cool. When doing so, the assassin moves at 1/2 the character's normal speed. A failed climb check means that the character makes no progress. A check that fails by 5 or more means that the character falls from the currently attained height and must suffer falling damage. Assassins cannot carry anything in their hands while climbing. Also makes sense. Just keep your dagger clenched between your teeth, like a badass. When climbing typical natural slopes and man-made inclines, such as cliff faces or steep steps, an assassin does not need to make an attribute check to climb the surface. Death attack. If an assassin studies a victim for 3 rounds and makes a sneak attack, see below, that successfully deals damage, the sneak attack can potentially kill the target instantly. Ooh, that's pretty nasty. While studying victim prior to an attack, the assassin can undertake other actions but must stay focused on the target. If the target knows the assassin is present, a death attack is not possible. The victim of such an attack must make a Constitution saving throw. If the saving throw fails, the victim dies instantly. If the target throw succeeds, the attack is treated as a normal sneak attack. So still pretty nasty, even if you fail. You still get, like, I assume, like extra damage. After completing 3 rounds of study, the assassin must stack within the next 3 rounds to use this ability. If a death attack is attempted and fails because the victim succeeds at the saving throw, the assassin cannot make another attempt at a death attack in this circumstance, because the victim will almost certainly be aware of the assassin's status as an enemy. If the assassin attacks and misses, and the target is not aware of the attack, or if the assassin does not launch the attack within 3 rounds of completing the study, 3 new rounds of study are required before attempting another death attack. Let me reread that real quick, quietly, make sure I get it fully. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Disguise, charisma. With a successful check in this ability, assassins can disguise themselves or impersonate people. Well, I guess I can't make charisma my dump stat like usual. The ability allows the assassin to impersonate general types of people as well as individuals. For example, a human assassin might impersonate a taller elf mage or perhaps a traveler, even though the assassin is a local. For a general impersonation, such as a beggar or merchant, the effort requires a few props, makeup, and 1d3 times 10 minutes of work to complete. Where specific individuals are impersonated, at least 1 month's preparation time is required to avoid detection. Okay, that's pretty cool. So it's not just like, oh, I study him for like an evening and now I can perfectly like mimic his every little quirk. It actually takes time, which is fine. A disguise can include an apparent change of height or weight of no more than 1/10 the original height or weight of the assassin. The castle keeper makes the character's disguise check secretly so that the character is not sure of its success. The following penalties are applied to a disguise check when appropriate: sex difference, -2, race difference, -2, and a -2 for an age difference of more than 10 years. Okay? Yeah, my half-orc is probably going to have a hard time impersonating an elf. A successful disguise does not fool an observer in all instances. Success indicates that the assassin is disguised well enough to fool normal, non-suspicious observers. If a suspicious individual observes the assassin, the castle keeper may allow the observer an intelligence check to see through the disguise. If an assassin is impersonating a particular individual, all who know that individual are permitted to make an intelligence check to detect the disguise. If the observer would recognize the impersonated individual on sight, the check is made at the +4. If the observer is a friend or close associate, the check is made at +8, and if intimate, the check is made at +12. Okay. Height, dexterity. Assassins use this ability to conceal themselves from others. A successful check means that the assassin is hidden so well as to be almost invisible. The assassin can move up to 1/2 normal speed and remain hidden. Height checks suffer no penalty in this circumstance. At more than 1/2 and up to full speed, the character suffers a -5 penalty to the check to remain hidden. It's practically impossible, -20 penalty, to hide while running or charging. Yeah, that definitely makes sense. If the character is being observed, even casually, they can't hide. If observers are momentarily distracted, however, the character can attempt to hide. While the observer averts his attention from the character can attempt to get to a hiding place. This check, however, is at a -10 penalty because the character has to move quickly to the hiding place. An assassin cannot hide if there is nothing to hide behind or conceal oneself with. Deep shadows can count as concealment at the castle keeper's discretion. Assassins cannot hide and move silently at the same time until they reach 3rd level. At this level and beyond, an assassin can attempt both, but must make a successful conceal and move silent check at -5. In this case, movement is reduced to 1/4 to normal movement speed. Wait, rather. This ability is affected by wearing armor not on the assassin armor list. Listen, wisdom. An assassin can use this ability to listen intently and hear noises that others might not detect, even though an obstacle such as a door. Success indicates the assassin can hear soft sounds like a whisper or cats talking while outside or in the open and up to a range of 30 feet. It also indicates success if the assassin is listening for sounds on the other side of a door, but the assassin must be adjacent to the door. However, exactly what is heard is up to the castle keeper's discretion, as each case is unique. If listening through a stone wall, the assassin suffers a -10 penalty to the check. For other materials, vary the penalty as appropriate. An assassin can retry this ability once around. This ability is affected by wearing a medal or large helmet. Yeah, hard to hear when you're wearing a big bucket on your head. Move silently, dexterity. This ability allows an assassin to move so silently that others cannot hear the movement. The assassin can use this ability both indoors and outdoors. An assassin can move up to 1/2 the character's normal speed at no penalty. At more than 1/2 and up to the character's full speed, the character suffers a -5 penalty. It's practically impossible, -20 penalty, to move silently while running or charging. To move silently and hide, see the hide ability. This ability is affected by wearing armor not on the armor list for the assassins. Okay. Poisons, intelligence. An assassin can identify and make poisons and antitoxins. An assassin can identify a poison or antitoxin on a successful check. To make a poison or antitoxin, the assassin needs some alchemical equipment and raw materials costing 1/3 of the street value of the poison or antitoxin to be made. An assassin's training in the use of poison means that an assassin never risks accidental poisoning when applying poison to the blade. Moreover, assassins train with poisons of all types, and they slowly grow more resistant to their effects. This is reflected by a +1 bonus to saving throws versus poisons gained at 3rd level. Some common poisons, their effect and costs are listed below. I like that you get more resistant to poisons. That's cool. Sneak attack. Assassins are capable of quick and deadly strikes upon unsuspecting targets. When an opponent or a victim is aware of the assassin, but unsuspecting of any attack, this ability can be used. For example, an assassin could casually walk next to a target, quickly stabbing him with a poisoned blade. These situations do not necessarily require a previously successful hide or move silently check, although the castle keeper could require success in one or both skills, depending upon the circumstances. The opponent is not allowed to roll for initiative until the round following the attack. Okay. An assassin making a sneak attack gains a +2 bonus to hit and a +4 bonus to damage. Ranged weapons can be used for sneak attacks if the target is within 30 feet. An assassin cannot aim with deadly accuracy from beyond that range. Yeah, so yeah, you can basically just like shoot somebody between the shoulder blades real quick with a crossbow and then just walk away. This ability is affected by wearing armor not on the assassin armor list, okay? Traps, intelligence. An assassin may use this to do one of the following: find, disable, or set traps. Each use requires a separate attribute check, and each check may be made only once in a given circumstances. Oh, you can tell I'm starting to stumble over my words a little bit more because this is a lot to read, but I'm trying here. To find a trap, an assassin spends time intently studying and searching an area to deduce possible trap locations. It takes 1 round to locate a trap in a specific area, such as a lock or a doorknob, and 1 minute to locate a trap in a 10 by 10 foot area. A successful check indicates the assassin finds 1 trap, if any are present. The trap discovered is the simplest or most obvious trap in the area. If multiple traps are in an area, multiple successful checks are required to find them all. An assassin can find magical traps with this ability, although it may be much more difficult than finding mundane traps. The castle keeper determines any penalties to the check, basing those penalties on the level or hit dice of those who set them. To disable a trap, an assassin must first know its location. Once a trap is located, a successful check means the assassin has disarmed the trap. The attempt can only be made once, and failure indicates that the assassin set off the trap. An assassin can disarm a magic trap, although it may be much more difficult than disarming a mundane trap. In most cases, assassin's tools are needed to disarm a trap. Generally, it takes 1d4 rounds to disarm a trap, depending on its complexity. Yeah. To set a trap or to reset a previously disabled trap, an assassin must make a successful trap check. If an assassin is resetting a trap that they previously disabled, the assassin gains a +5 bonus to the check. The amount of time required to reset a trap depends. The amount of time required to set or reset a trap depends on the complexity of the trap, typically taking 1d4 rounds. Locating traps is not affected by the armor worn. However, disabling and setting traps is affected by wearing armor not on the assassin armor list. Okay, well, those all seem very interesting, and I like that you pretty much get all of those from the get-go. I'm used to games where it's like, oh, at first level you get this, at 4th level you get this, at like 20th level you get this. But Castles and Crusades seems to pretty much front-load all the abilities, and then you just improve your hit dice and your ability to hit and like all that stuff as you level. So that's pretty cool. So prime attribute, dexterity. Well, let me look at my thing here. Let me open up Druzak over here. Come on. So dexterity is a prime for now. Okay. Hit dice, d6. Let's see, where do I put that? La la la. Where is hit dice? Character. I see AC. I'm sure you guys are like screaming at me right now. It's like, it's over there, Vic. But I'm a big dum-dum, and I'm really not finding it right now. Probably doesn't help that I just read all that stuff. Saving throws. Settings. Attributes and abilities, no. Jeez. Am I this stupid that I'm not finding where to put in the health? Wow, this is really annoying. Oh, see, I have this sheet too. Yeah, this has HP like right here. I'm gonna look at my friend's character real quick. See if I can see where they put the hit dice. Oh, hit points. Okay, there we go. Jeez, I am severely dumb. Sorry, guys, but I finally found it. So hit dice was a D6, and then I'm sure your attribute. Well, actually, let me go look at. Yeah. Well, by the way, I said beforehand, this is me stumbling and bumbling through character generation. So I'm living up to I'm living up to the hype, really. So hey, weapons. Yeah. I'm just gonna look at the race now. Half-Orc. More to read. Half-Orc. Half-Orcs exist on the edges of society, little cared for by humans, orcs, and others. Half-Orcs are the offspring of a pairing between an orc or other goblinoid and a human, and are generally a dispirited and angry lot, accustomed to doing dangerous jobs for others. Indeed, most half-orcs only make consistent contact with others when their famed fighting skills are needed. Half-orcs can be found in many regions of the world, haunting the periphery of settled lands. They often find orc tribes and kingdoms to their liking, as those humanoids are an easy group to dominate. Within human communities, their roles range from hunted outcasts to elite warrior castes. That's pretty cool. Description. Half-orcs combine the worst features of humans and orcs. Most have an unpleasant demeanor, and some are repulsive and even hideous to look at. They typically have massive jaws, coarse hair, and dark penetrating eyes. That sounds just like me. Their skin tends to be a ruddy dark color and resembles the rough textured skin common among orcs. Physiologically, however, half-orcs combine the best features of both their parent races. Half-orcs mirror humans in height or stand even taller. They are naturally muscular and agile, and they do not suffer from light sensitivity as orcs do. Personality. Half-orcs are unsavory and contentious individuals. At outcasts, they have few friends or allies, and that's a cool piece of art, giant creepy spider. And they often live miserable and lonely lives, wary of all. Even amongst themselves, there is little trust and great fear, as they jockey for positions of acceptance and status as mercenaries or in more nefarious professions, like being an assassin, for instance. The social stigma that all half-orcs encounter throughout their lives, when combined with the militant aggressiveness of orcs and the competitiveness of humans, produces a nearly fearless warrior and relentless foe. That's pretty dope. As outcasts, half-orcs find themselves in a constant search for like-minded individuals and others in whom they can place their trust and faith. As such, they are occasionally found in the company of travelers, mercenary bands, adventurers, and others who, either willingly or by accident, are ostracized from their society. Friendly relations with half-orcs are, uncannily, not uncommon for the two share similar social stigma. Half-orcs are a breed apart. That's kind of interesting that half-orcs and half-elves can actually kind of get along if they are both just outcasts. Half-orcs are unswervingly loyal to those they trust and in whom they place their faith. On the other hand, to those who break that faith, half-orcs have an undying enmity, and no effort will be spared in righting a wrong and taking revenge upon their enemies. Half-orcs can be both a friend and companion of immense value or a foe of terrible power. Awesome. Racial affinities. Half-orcs typically care for themselves and themselves alone, avoiding even their own kind. No race finds them likable, and they return the favor. Half-orcs are often found with orcs or smaller goblinoids, as those are the least discerning of the races, and are easily dominated. Other half-orcs tend to be found in larger human settlements where, if they are lucky, they can find a certain degree of anonymity, such as being an assassin. Environment. Half-orcs are found in most climes. They have no preference for any one environment and adapt well to any climate. They tend to live alone, even in larger cities, where they are often found in ghettos, slums, and other areas where officials rarely patrol and thieves wander the night. Or assassins wander the night. Who knew? Who knows? Racial traits and abilities. Dark vision. In a similar manner to dwarves, half-orcs can see in complete darkness for up to 60 feet. Dark vision produces images that are in shades of grey, but it's otherwise like normal sight. Half-orcs can function well with no light at all. Bright lights, such as from a lantern or other light source, spoil dark vision. A half-orc requires 1 minute to adjust his or her eyes when the light source is extinguished before gaining full use of dark vision. That's kind of cool that it's not like immediate. That helps putting a limit on it a little bit, because that's like a big problem in 5th edition, is that 90% of the races have like dark vision and there's like no real penalty to it. It really makes it really hard to have like interesting like encounters in darkness and stuff. Well, let's see. I'm gonna put that in his racial traits real quick. I think I saw that right here. So I got dark vision there. Enhanced sense of smell. This ability allows half-orcs to detect the presence, but not the specific location of creatures within 30 feet or within 60 feet, if the other creature is upwind. If the other creature is upwind. That's a typo probably. Strong scents such as smoke or rotten garbage can be detected at twice those ranges. Overpowering scents such as a skunk musk can be detected at 3 times those ranges. If a half-orc becomes familiar with an individual, he can learn the individual's scent and recognize it. It should further be noted that false, powerful odors can easily mask other scents and completely spoil this ability. So, let me add that. Oh. Cool. Martial prowess. Half-orcs come from very violent societies in which fights and contests of strength are common and necessary for survival. This has inured them to great amounts of pain and given most a great capacity to fend off blows and fight unarmed. As such, half-orcs receive a +1 to the armor class whenever they are not wearing armor of any type. This ability combines with magical wings, ropes, and other similar devices that confer an armor class bonus but are not armor. This bonus adds to the unarmored armor class of half-orc monks. Okay, I'm going to add that +1 AC unarmored. That's so I remember if I ever have to take my armor off. Resistant to disease. Half-orcs possess a resistance to disease passed down from their goblinoid parents. They receive a +2 bonus to all disease saving throws. Okay. Now let's do disease saves. Language. Common, Goblin, Orc. Okay. Common, Goblin, Orc. Size medium, movement 30 feet. Movement 30. Do I put my size in anywhere? Doesn't look like it, but I'm sure I'll remember. Typical classes: Fighter, Ranger, Rogue, Assassin. There we go. Barbarian, Monk, Cleric, Knight. Attribute modifiers. There we go. +1 Constitution, +1 Strength, -2 Charisma. So now the trick is, I rolled at 6. Where do I put that as my dump stat? Because I assume an assassin kind of needs almost. They need almost every stat like equally. They have to be at least somewhat intelligent. They have to be, they have to have some wisdom so they don't like mess up and just. I mean, as an assassin, you need to have like some cunning. That's what I'm trying to say. You know what? I'm gonna make him way shorter. It's gonna be 4'3", and he's gonna weigh 50 pounds. And he's gonna be, because it does say half orcs can be derived from any goblinoid, just not just orcs. So he's gonna be a half goblin, like a full-on tiny little half goblin man, and his dump stat is gonna be strength. So 6. Let me look at all the scores that I rolled up earlier. Okay, I'm gonna put 6 in there, 14 in dexterity. I'll put a 12 in charisma. A 12 in intelligence. And then I had 2 13s, I believe. Constitution 13, Wisdom 13. And then I look at my modifiers real quick. Plus 1 Constitution, so that is 14 con, pretty nice. Plus 1 Strength, so 7 Strength. Hey, I'm not completely. And then minus 2 Charisma, so 10 Charisma. Okay, so now I have to look at the modifiers again. Attribute modifiers. There we go. So 9 to 12 is 0. So which one is it 0? 0, 12, 12. Okay. And I assume 13 to 14 is a plus 1. Pick up on that real quick. Yep. And then minus 1 strength. Cool. So which one should I... I'll make... There we go. So I made wisdom my other primary, and then everything else is my secondaries. I think that is the way to do it. So let's go back to half-orc, see what I might be missing. Yeah, that's it for half-orcs. Okay. Completing the character. Well, I can actually know first. I need to put in all the assassin stuff. Actually, I need to see. Do I add my constitution to my hit dice? The modifier affects hit points. Okay, yeah. I assumed it did, but you never know. It might have done something different. Scroll down again, all the way over here. So yeah, let's roll my hit points. Roll 1d6. 5 plus 1, so I have 6 hit points. No, 6. Cool. There you go, 6 hit points. BTH. Make that a bit bigger. where do I put in my BTH? Ah, no, yeah, it's over here. So I'll have to fill that in once I get my weapons and stuff. Let me add my class abilities real quick. Case target. Time. Sneak attack, disguise. Hide. Listen. Move silently. Listen. Move silently. Just so I can remember what all this guy can do. Poisons, sneak attack, and traps. Traps. Okay. So that's all the base. Excuse me. That's all the bases done. Let's go back to what I need next. Completing the character. And my cat is meowing at me. Hey Freya, I am busy. The last and most important step in character creation is to create the character's persona. Attributes, class, and race are the framework of the character. Finishing the character requires adding details to the character that dice or rules have little impact on. The character's persona is made up by their motivations and fears, their looks and alignment, their deity, name, and purchasing equipment, etc. This can be done in great detail or more generally according to the player's preference. I'm going to probably do more generally. After generating the final statistics related to race and class, the player should determine the character's physical description, decide on any particular mannerisms, and at least get in mind the basics of a personality. Some players may want to go further and develop a worldview, background, and motivations. Some of the character's traits are quantified in game terms such as alignment, which summarizes the character's overall worldview. Finally, the player equips the character with clothing, armor, weapons, and adventuring gear, and then chooses spells. Yeah, I'm not gonna do a whole background and persona and stuff like that. See, choosing a deity. Doesn't appear to be a list of deities. It's basically just pick whatever you want. I don't know. Let's make one up. The goblin deity of thieves and assassins. What would be a good name for that? I don't know. The goblin deity Quicks. There we go. He's got a deity now. Equipment. To be honest, we all know how equipment works. You get swords and armor and all that junk. So I'm not going to read all this. I'm just going to go and continue with actually rolling up the character. So starting coin. Every character begins the game with some coin of the realm. The amount depends upon the character's class and is listed below. However, that can be amended to fit the needs of the campaign. Less coin should be made available in grittier or low fantasy campaigns, and more coin made available in high fantasy campaigns. That actually makes sense. I kind of like that. Social standing can also affect the amount of coin available. Also makes sense. The following equipment list contains the cost, effects, weight, and encumbrance value of each item. It is not an exhaustive list, so the castle keeper should expand it as needed, basing prices on comparable items in this list. Okay, so assassins, they get 3d4 times 10. So let's just roll 3d4. Shrink this a little again. So times 10, that is 80. So I have 80 gold to spend. Let me put that in my sheet. It's actually not a bad roll. Let's see where the money goes. This is inventory. I really suck at reading this sheet. I'm just going to put it here for now. Inventory, 80 gold. Equipment. So I can wear a leather coif. Actually, I need to see how you determine your AC real quick. Did they mention that? Let's see. Assassin, is it on there? Probably not. No. Well, I'm just going to note my equipment for now and I'll figure it out later. So that's -4 gold. That is 76 gold. Okay. Leather coif. You know what? He's gonna wear a cool leather duster, so I'm gonna go with a leather coat. It's also +1 AC. That is -7, so that's 69 gold left. Ooh, wow. Weapons. Well, he needs a dagger, obviously. Actually, I'm gonna put that dagger in here. That is 1d4 damage. And I don't think I get any modifiers yet. Ooh. See how much was the dagger? 2 gold, and then a brass knuckles is 1 gold. I'm gonna do brass knuckles too. Brass knuckles are cool. That's 1d3, and that is, how much gold was that total? Dagger 2, brass knuckles 1, so that's -3. 66 gold. Let's see. Probably a little bit bigger weapon. Let's do a scimitar. Only 6. And that was 15 gold, I believe. So, do some quick math here. That's 51, I believe, yeah. 51 gold left. So now I got buy some random equipment. Backpack. That's 2 gold for 49. Oh, went too high. Crowbar, definitely need a crowbar. No. Was another 2 gold. 47 gold. What else do I want? Rogue's tools. Ooh, those are expensive. 30 gold, but you know what? He needs Rogue's tools though. That's 17 gold left. He doesn't need torches. He's got dark vision. At least give him a water skin. $16 gold. And what are rations? Rations, 1 day. Rations 1 week. What? Oh, okay. I get it now. I was like, wait. Why are rations 1 day more expensive than rations 1 week? But it's silver pieces versus gold pieces. Okay, that makes more sense. I'll do 1 week. I think that's enough equipment for now. Encumbrance. Am I going to bother with that? Actually, I don't think I'm going to bother with the encumbrance just right yet. I kind of want to end this video soon. It's getting a little bit long. I'm starving. Rations make me think of food, so I'm not going to bother about or bother with equipment or encumbrance just yet. Rather, can't even talk anymore. Yeah, I just need to figure out AC real quick. So. And my cats are running around behind me, chasing each other. Oh, AC is 12, 10 plus 12. Oh, 2. So, okay, yeah. So, because I've got a +1 for my helmet and a +1 from my armor. So I have 12 AC. Okay, that's simple. And I believe that's it, really. I think I just made a Castles and Crusades Assassin. I don't think there's anything else I really need. He's level 1, so he doesn't get any bonuses yet. I've noted all his abilities. I've gave him some gear. Gave him some weapons. He's got dagger, brass knuckles, and a scimitar. I'm not giving him ranged. Actually, I probably should give him ranged because his strength sucks, and I believe Castles and Crusades, every melee weapon uses strength for its modifier. So actually, let me give him a ranged weapon real quick. Which I can't actually because I'm out of money. Actually, let's give him a blowpipe. Yeah, you can blowpipe people, which sounds kind of dirty. What's the damage on the blowpipe? Damage 1. Nice. Oh yeah, he can put like poison darts in people's necks. That's kind of fun. So he's got 12 gold left, enough to probably survive for a week before he has to find a new job. Before he has to find a contract, stab somebody in the sleep, or shoot a poison dart into their eye, something like that. Get his payday. But yeah, he's done. Druzek Sword Slicer, the Half-Goblin Assassin, with his little blowpipe. And, well, I think that's about it, really. Thanks, everyone, if you actually made it to this point. If you actually made it to this point in the video, thanks for watching me stumble and bumble my way through this. Hopefully, this will be the first in a whole series of me showing off my amateurish YouTube creator skills. And yeah, hopefully I'll get better at it eventually. So, again, thanks for watching. I hope all of you have a great day. And bye.